Joining me now here in studio is Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thank you very much for having me.
So the chaos that was expected at the border didn't materialize. Are you surprised by this? And do you expect these numbers to increase as the days move forward?
Jonathan, we have been planning for this moment, for the end of Title 42, for more than a year and a half. Not only have we been planning, but we have been executing on those plans, surging resources, personnel, greater facilities capacity, and so much more. In these first 2 days after the end of Title 42, the United States Border Patrol has seen a 50% drop in the number of people encountered at our southern border. It is too early in the process, but we continue to execute our plan of providing lawful pathways for individuals who seek relief in the United States, lawful, safe, and orderly pathways, and at the same time deliver consequences for those who arrive at our southern border without having access those pathways.
So why the drop in migrants coming over the border? Is it in the days leading up to the end of Title 42, you were out there, made a trip down to the border saying, do not come, do not come. If you do, there will be consequences. Is that why there's been a drop?
We certainly hope that the migrants are heeding our warning, heeding our message, because Jonathan, it is a matter not only of border security, but it is a matter of humanitarian responsibility. We have got to save those vulnerable individuals from the ruthless clutches of the smuggling organizations that exploit them for profit.
What do you say to the military? Troops have been sent down to the border. They're not there to enforce immigration laws. They can't do that. But what do you say to critics who say that using the military, sending them to the border, is sending a wrong signal, a dangerous signal to not just to migrants, but to the world about the intentions of the United States?
We have relied, the Department of Homeland Security has relied on the Department of Defense to supplement our personnel every single year since 2006. We are doing something that is no different than what has been done for the past approximately 17 years. These personnel provide support functions so our heroic Border Patrol agents can be out in the field doing the mission that they are obligated and signed up to do.
Now, you've said, and you've said here on the show, if you show up at the border without having gone through a legal pathway, you will be presumed ineligible for asylum. With the system already stretched as thin as it is that a reasonable way to incentivize legal immigration for people trying to come to the United States?
It is. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a matter of security and a matter of humanity. President Biden has led the most significant expansion of lawful pathways ever. And what we are trying to do is reach people where they are, provide for them an orderly and safe pathway to come to the United States, rather than put their lives and their life savings in the hands of the smugglers. Meeting
people where they are, meaning like Honduras, in Mexico, in countries, Venezuela, in countries of origin. What is the United States specifically doing to help those countries do those things that you're talking about?
So we have a multi-pronged approach. We in the Department of Homeland Security are, of course, addressing the security of the border and managing that in a humane and orderly way. We are working with the State Department to build regional processing centers to provide lawful pathways and increased access for people to access relief. The Vice President Harris, is addressing the root causes of why people flee their countries of origin in the first place, addressing the systemic poverty, violence, corruption, persecution, authoritarian regimes. She's done an extraordinary job of driving more than $3 billion of investment in the countries of origin. This is a multi-pronged approach. Fundamentally, Jonathan, we need Congress to fix what everyone agrees is a broken immigration system.
Well, to that point, in the days leading up to the end of Title 42, Congress did do something. The Republican-controlled House did pass what they called the Secure the Border Act of 2023, which would, among other things, restart construction of the border wall and severely restrict asylum. Is that the action you're looking for from Congress? That is action by Congress on immigration.
So what we call upon Congress to do, and what has been called upon Congress to do for more than 2 decades, is fix the broken immigration system. On day one, President Biden sent to Congress a proposal to do just that. What we are asking for is a fix, not to dismantle the system, which is what this latest proposal suggests.
Critics on the left say that the administration is simply continuing the bad immigration policies of the Trump administration. Is that a fair assessment?
I don't think so at all. We have done so much to rebuild the system that the Trump administration dismantled. Rebuilding our asylum system. We rescinded a public charge rule that sought to punish migrants in the Trump administration for accessing benefits to which they are entitled under law. We have reunified more than 700 families that the Trump administration so cruelly separated as a means of deterring people from coming to the border. We have granted temporary protected status, relief for individuals here who could not safely return to their countries of origin because of the conditions there. We have done so very much to rebuild a system that was torn apart.
The immigration system is so broken that you've got governors taking action into their own hands. State governments. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis recently signed a new law that targets his state's undocumented population by making it a felony to shelter, hire, or transport undocumented immigrants. It requires hospitals to ask their patients about their immigration status. What's your reaction to this? Is that even constitutional?
So I will defer to the Department of Justice on the lawfulness of that type of action. But I will say this. It is a sad and it is tragic when government officials, people in positions of authority to do the right thing for our country, actually use human beings as pawns to score political points.
Last question for you, Mr. Secretary. Today marks 1 year since white supremacists opened fire in a black neighborhood at the Tops supermarket in Buffalo. The president yesterday at his commencement address for the Howard University graduates called white supremacy the major domestic terror threat in this country. Is that correct?
It tragically is. You know, in the terrorism context, domestic violent extremism is our greatest threat right now. Individuals driven to violence because of ideologies of hate, anti-government sentiments, false narratives, personal grievances, and the like. And regrettably, we have seen a rise in white supremacy. And the principle underlying our work is that when one community is targeted, Jonathan, when one community is targeted, we as a country are targeted.